Welcome to Trail Therapy with Reimagine Life. I'm your host, Elizabeth Arnold, and this is episode 2. And Lucy and I are here. It is unseasonably warm for February. She is very warm. We just got done hiking and she's tired and she's panting. So you'll probably hear her in the background trying to cool down. We have water. It doesn't make a difference. Anyway, our topic for today is healing, and I have some notes. So if I look down, that's what I'm referring to. In recent conversations, this topic has come up several times this week: healing, and it's like when people think either once we are Christians or have adopted that faith, then Jesus comes into our hearts and we are always okay and we're never wrestling with anything. And if anything bad happens to us, we don't have any pain, and Jesus is going to make everything all rosy and pain-free, which that just isn't true. And then you get the world's perspective coming in too, where I feel like a lot of times healing to the world also looks like an absence of hardship, an absence of well, you might have the hardship happen, but how your body and your mind respond to that is that it overcomes it very quickly, and there is no residual lingering pain associated with that. And I just wanted to say that biblically, when we look in the scripture, we don't see healing being the absence of pain. So let's just strike that from our thoughts of what healing actually is. It isn't the absence of pain, because wounds are going to still remain even when they're quote unquote healed. They're like tender spots. They get activated when something touches them, when something happens in our lives that reminds us of an old injury. I have tore my ACL about 10 years ago. Kickball, don't ask. And I got my ACL repaired. But anytime I am on a long distance hike, it hurts. And I have to use that tape, that athletic tape, to hold my knee together. And is my knee healed? Yes. Does it still hurt? Yes. So it doesn't mean that the ACL repair didn't work because my leg is still attached together. What it means is that certain activities will cause some tenderness, and I just should expect that. And we can think that we want things to not happen to us so that we'll be just fine. We want things, for instance, my other knee is fine. Like, there's nothing the matter with it. It might, old age and things be sore, but generally speaking, it is just a healthy knee, and my ACL repair knee is never going to be like the uninjured knee. However, there is benefit to my injured knee. It gives me more compassion for people. It helps my body to, like, I have to be aware of what's going on with my body and maybe slow down and not over exercise. Same thing in our own lives. So if we have wounds from our past, I imagine you're going to be way more compassionate for people that might have this similar situation or wound that you had. And you may not have been that kind of compassionate unless you had that happen to you. And I feel like that is the work of redemption. It's a softening. It builds better awareness. It adds to our layers of compassion that we have for others. And it makes us dependent on God. So that scar tissue, if you will, is tender. It's always going to be tender. That doesn't mean it's not healed. It just means it is a place that has been wounded, and there is I think it's a Japanese art, and you guys have probably heard of this before, where they take like a broken vase, and the original vase is beautiful, but the vase is broken, and they put it together with gold in the thing, I don't know, mortar that they use to put it back together. And the end result is beautiful. It's different than the original vase, but it's a different kind of beautiful. In healing, we can know that healing is happening because we are no longer defined by our brokenness. We do not any longer have our identity wrapped up in the wounds. We are know that we're healing when that thing that happened to us no longer defines us. And I hear people that sometimes, and you probably know them, and you might have this experience yourself, where that something that happened to you or to them keeps being activated, or when it keeps being brought up, it keeps resurfacing. They keep talking about it. You keep talking about it. You keep thinking about it. You remember that. You maybe with your spouse, an argument comes up and you like point back to this other time, or with a friend, and you're like, well, you never. And so you know that in those situations that there is more healing that needs to be done, more healing work that needs to be done, because that place is still fresh, and that place is still at the forefront, at the surface. And the healing process, when healing does, is it helps you work through that, move through that, incorporate Jesus into that in your story, and then it becomes part of your story, but it's not who you are. It's not your identity. You aren't always bringing that up. I had a therapist once that told me, any kind of trauma that you have, you know that you're healing once you've worked through it. It's just like starting the first day of kindergarten. Like, it's something that happened in your life, but it's not a big deal anymore. It's not something that you talk about continually or bring up in conversation with other people. You don't try to get people to validate you, or be on your side, or try to argue your point with that anymore. It's just like you can talk about it, but it's not triggering like that anymore. And two, the thinking about redemption again, there is a song by Andrew Peterson called "Don't You Want to Thank Someone?" And one of the lyrics in that says, maybe it's a better thing to be more than merely innocent, is to be broken than redeemed by love. Maybe it's a better thing to be more than merely innocent, is to be broken than redeemed by love. And there's a bird that just took off, and Lucy is totally freaked out. Okay, anyway, I think it was a mallard duck. I'm not sure. Hey, Luce, come on back. Come on. But thinking about that issue of redemption, it really plays out in the universal context of our salvation, where our wounds, and we can't just think of the wounds that people have done to us, but we need to remember that we have injured other people as well. So the wounds that have been done to us, as well as the wounds that we have inflicted on others, they get absorbed and included in the wounds of Christ. And I love the verse, by his wounds we are healed. It's a mystery to me though, and I've been wrestling with this thought the last week. Like, what does that really mean? What does that look like? How are we healed by the wounds of Jesus Christ? And sitting with God in that, I really feel like, actually this came to me when I was washing dishes the other day. It's like, without Jesus suffering for us, we would never truly know love. And so walk with me through the logic here. So Jesus was sacrificed for us on the cross, and his wounds, his sacrifice made it possible for us to even have access to the Father. Without his suffering, we would never even be able to have access to the Father. And because we have access, through that access, we are now invited, welcomed, enveloped in the love the Trinity has for one another. And we are brought into a love that is from eternity past through to eternity future. We are now able to know love, and that kind of love, that love is a kind of love that where you are seen, where you are known, understood, where you are soothed and held. It's a kind of love that is able to hold you in your brokenness and say, I see you and I'm with you in it, and you are not alone. And it's in that kind of context where we know that our wounds are starting to be healed. We are wounded in relationships and we are healed in relationships, but especially those kinds of relationships that bring unconditional love. And so that's just a thought that I wanted to share with you today. We can know we are being healed not by when there's an absence of pain, but when we are being held in the love of God, and when things happen and they might trigger us, that's okay. That doesn't mean the healing isn't happening. Healing is something that is essentially sanctification. We are being healed until we meet Jesus, where we have the ultimate fulfillment and completion of that healing. So on that note, be present, be loved, and reimagine life.